Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Leader against our president. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
Leading up.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It's Monday, June 19th, 2017. I'm your host, Owen Schroyer. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, a dangerous escalation in Syria as the communication channel between Washington and Moscow has been suspended. This in response to American forces who recently shot down a Syrian fighter jet reportedly targeting ISIS, prompting the Russian Defense Ministry to suspend its line of communication with America. Meanwhile, Russia has also announced that they will treat U.S. jets in Syria as targets. Then, how to become a certified social justice warrior. More than 100 colleges are now offering credits for learning how to become an ultra-progressive liberal. All that plus much more up next on the Infowars Nightly News.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. The key is to be aware of this attack and to fight back against it. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs harvested around the planet and then concentrated for maximum potency. I've always believed in nutrition and herbs. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by Infowars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. Visit InfowarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality and other powerful products from Infowars Life.
Check out these amazing deals at InfowarsStore.com. 25% off BioTrue Selenium, a powerful antioxidant and back in stock Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Now 33% off. And while you're there, check out the Total Oral Care Pack, which combines our organic mouthwash with the amazing Super Blue toothpaste. Now 37% off. All available right now at InfowarsStore.com.
You know, I was amazed at last week on Friday when I host the Infowars Nightly News and I played a bunch of videos. I covered a bunch of news clips explaining why exactly I feel that the left is responsible for the violence that is breaking out in America right now and eventually would lead to a civil war. It amazed me how much I left out, how much I forgot. I couldn't believe how much I left out of that report. Huge things said by government representatives, said on the streets of America. And we're going to play another video that highlights some of the things that I forgot, as well as illustrate how it's the left that is causing violence. But here's a story on Infowars.com by Kellen McBreen. Colonel Schaefer warns of bloody civil war, societal collapse. If the government doesn't stop violence from the left, the right will inevitably retaliate. There's an amazing full circle operation happening right now. It's happening in America. It's happening in Europe. We'll cover it in Europe in a second. But right now in America, and again, just like the way we've been covering radical Islamic terror, we've also been covering the police state. So we warned about the police state. We saw the signs of the coming police state. We saw them doing all of their drills, showing you the police state and how they would be bringing that to the streets of America with incidents like the Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot, and the Ferguson riots. But now we have come full circle, and the left is going full out violence in the streets. Incidents like Berkeley, incidents like rushing Donald Trump when he is speaking on a podium, assassination attempts against Donald Trump and representatives of the Republican Party. So it's gone hot for the violent leftists, not even to mention all of the people that get brutalized by these violent radical leftists in the streets. But Colonel Schaefer makes an interesting point when he says if the government doesn't stop violence from the left, the right will inevitably retaliate. Well, that's the question then, isn't it? What does he mean that if the government doesn't stop violence from the left? That's the police state, folks. That's the police state. Now, I don't want a police state. I don't want to live under martial law. I don't want to live in a state of emergency like they are in Paris for the last 2 years. That's not what I'm interested in. But the left wants a civil war because they're not going to get what they want, and that's Donald Trump to be removed from office, or if they could somehow just have Donald Trump never get elected. Obviously, that's not possible either. But this is the reality that the left lives in, so they're never going to be happy. And they're going to continue to get more violent every day that Trump is in office trying to make this country great again. Every day the mainstream news powers up their broadcast of propaganda against President Trump. Every day, mindless vassals like the man that tried to assassinate Steve Scalise are going to be triggered to pull violence out. So Colonel Schaefer makes an interesting point here, and it's one that sinks into me, unfortunately, more every day. And I think more and more, just to all of us, it's sinking in more and more every day. Now, here is a video, again, showing you just exactly what I'm talking about with violent liberal rhetoric and the threats to the president going hot in the streets of America, causing a civil war.
We can't just do rallies. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides. There will be, because people have to die to make a change in this world.
That's a liberal.
I want you to
a liberal
argue
Trump
with
hater.
them and get in their face and
The press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him?
Get in my face, Obama, huh?
High school, I could take him behind the gym.
I wonder what Biden would do to him behind the gym.
Is fight in Congress, fight in the courts,
Probably try
fight
to
in the
kiss him.
streets, fight online, fight at the ballot box. And now there's the momentum to be able to do this.
Well, Trey Gowdy ought to have his ass kicked.
I had a dream the other night about that I was playing golf with Donald Trump, and I was standing beside him with a club in my hand, and I was, considering my options when I suddenly woke up. It was one of those dreams where you want to just get back
His
to
options,
sleep so you can finish it.
For some reason, I don't think he's talking about playing the dog leg or the sand wedge.
The same ice pick that I murdered Donald Trump in the same night with.
Oh, that's nice.
And he's a bitch, and he can suck my
What's on your head? Is that a skunk on his head?
Any day of the week and give him a Louisville Slugger.
This is by Mark Dice again.
If I catch you, I'm going to jail you, bitch. I want you to know these guns are real, bitch. It's real. Your daughter.
So this again, I was just amazed after Friday. I thought that I covered all the violence against Trump, or all the calls for violence against Trump from liberal media, and I left so much out.
Individuals who have banded together, ordinary people who simply saw what needed to be done and came together and supported those ideals, who have made the difference. They've marched, they've bled. Yes, some of them have died. This is hard. Every good thing is.
That's Loretta Lynch, who's currently not cooperating with FOIA requests.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Who's responsible, folks? Who's responsible? If this civil war goes hot in the United States of America, who is responsible? It's liberal media, folks. It's liberal media. And it's leftists that are falling for the fake news that comes out of the liberal media. Now, this is our problem in America. This is how the Civil War is being strewn about in America. Ultimately, they would love to see a police state brought in. That's what Obama really wants. He doesn't really care as much about a Trump impeachment. As long as they got that police state, I think as soon as they get Trump out, he'd be happy. But this is what we're dealing with in America. Now, let's look at Europe. Now, you had another attack today in Paris. A man goes up in the car, rams a police car. The car then explodes, and there's all kinds of handguns and gas and all sorts of stuff in this terrorist car. I guess he hasn't been dubbed a terrorist yet, but don't worry, folks. Just like every other story that comes out, it'll come out that he was yelling Allahu Akbar before he did this. They don't want to report on it yet, but they will. And so what is that an illustration of? The clash of civilizations where Muslim people or refugees move into westernized cultures and cannot assimilate. And this is what multiculturalism has brought to Europe. So this goes on in Paris, and this is just a regular thing in Paris now. They've been in a state of emergency for 2 years. So they're just used to that by now. You wake up on Monday on Paris, oh, another terror attack. Isn't that nice? But you've also got what happened in London today. Now, it's interesting because you've got somebody who goes down and is now trying to ram down Muslim people who were leaving in a mosque. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that's still being investigated about this. A very strange story. Honestly, the story is tough for me to report on right now because there's a lot of things that don't make sense. But then you have the guy allegedly laughing at the Muslims as he was getting hauled off in the police van. We've never had a story where the guy actually is somehow, somehow he gets out of his van and is with the people. I don't know how. Again, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. We haven't seen any footage of any of this, just footage of a bunch of police on the scene. So there are a lot of questions being raised, but this is what they want. See, they bring in the multiculturalism. They bring in people that can't assimilate or have no interest in assimilate, or they're never taught to assimilate, or they're refugees, or they genuinely hate these countries and their governments and their people for doing nothing about the injustices that have been going on in the Middle East for decades. So they come here and they commit acts of terror. This has been going on, folks. This is not a secret. Radical Islamic terror is very real. Doesn't mean all Muslims are bad people. But then this guy goes out after seeing wave after wave after wave of terror attack, and allegedly he goes out and tries to ram down some Muslim people in the streets. So immediately you have everybody racing to the scene saying, oh my gosh, this is the right's fault. This is conservatives' fault. These are the people that called for closed borders' fault, that said that these are the Islamophobes' fault. But it's amazing because you never see that response from the left when it's a radical Islamic terrorist. Now, I also had a very interesting thing about this too. What is the difference between a hate crime and a terror attack? Now, I have the definition here. A hate crime is a crime motivated by racial, sexual, or other prejudice, typically one involving violence. A terrorist, a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. I actually think I have a new twist on this. I think we have to change our rhetoric here. From now on, we should call it radical Islamic hate crimes, okay? These should be dubbed hate crimes. These are people that are doing hate crimes against people in London, against people in America, whoever it is they think is oppressing them or isn't going along with Sharia law or whatever religious belief they have, or for whatever other reason could be out there, they don't like the way the women are dressing. The terrorists in this situation are the governments that are opening the borders and bringing these people in, folks. Those are the terrorists. Those are the people with political means. At least that's how I feel about it. But let's go back in time just to recall the terrorists who was responsible for the event in, or excuse me, there was a terrorist, and I've lost my story here, but he was an imam at the Finsbury Mosque, and he was arrested, and he's currently being held in a jail in the United States of America because of his rhetoric at the Finsbury Mosque. So there's a history of radical Islamic hate crimes coming out of this mosque. Now, they've said to have cleaned up their act since then, but then you have this guy who apparently is a member of the conservatives or alt-right who wants to go and ram down Muslims. Still a hate crime, in my opinion, if that's what actually went down. But let's recall, terror attacks are part and parcel of living in a big city, claims the London mayor Sadiq Khan. Is he going to say the same about terrorism against Muslims? I'm just curious. If we have people from London mowing down people outside of mosques once a month, is that going to be part and parcel, Sadiq Khan? I wonder how he would feel about that. And Paul Joseph Watson highlighted all of the hypocrisies coming out of the left media coverage of this and the response from the government on Infowars.com. No hashtags, no vigils, no call for everyone just to unite and carry on as normal. No, that's right. It's demonize the right, demonize conservatives in politics. It's all their fault. And you even have J.K. Rowling, who goes as far as to actually blame Nigel Farage for this attack. Now, J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter. How about the Harry Potter actress that was beaten and branded a prostitute by her brother after dating a man who was not a Muslim? Where was J.K. Rowling on that story? Harry Potter star beaten after meeting a non-Muslim man, called a slag, and threatened with death after she met a young man who is not a Muslim. That is according to a court statement, a Manchester Crown Court. So where was J.K. Rowling on that? Nowhere. And again, here's the story. I lost it earlier. Evil and barbaric hate preacher Abu Hamza to die in prison after he is sentenced to life for almost a dozen terror charges. Now, you can go down and read the story, and what you find out is that this was a radical hate preacher of radical Islamicism and a terrorist who preached at that church. Now, I'm not saying this has one thing to do with the other. I'm just pulling this story up because I think that it has a fair tie to this story, and nobody else seems to want to talk about it. Now, Theresa May actually got heckled about this. We'll just not play that video, but Theresa May got heckled outside for her hypocrisies, and her entire speech in response to this was so different than Theresa May's response to this was entirely different to the responses we see for radical Islamic hate crimes. It was immediate. It was quick. It was immediately to target this, claim it as that. Totally different story than what we see when it's a radical Islamic terror attack. There were also some other key words in the speech that she gave, but I don't even want to get into that now. Before we close out this segment, Google says it will do more to suppress terrorist propaganda. This is the overarching globalist agenda to come down and control the internet and use all of the hate speech on the internet that is driving all of these people to madness. It's all of it. It's all the hate speech, the left, the right. We need to bring it in. We need to censor it. But amazingly, somehow they miss this. YouTube regularly leaves Islamic State videos up for days and weeks. We've been highlighting this for over a year now. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. They provide a platform to radical Islamic hate crimes, yet they claim they want to censor the internet. It's not working.
We've taken thousands of years of known research and put it together with our own 4 years of seeking and testing to find the very best systems that God gave us through Mother Nature to detoxify the body. That's why I'm introducing Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWar. It is a classical 360 win. Our formula at InfoWarsLife.com is, quite frankly, simple. We go out and look at the recognized research, and we take it to the next level of quality, of purity, and of strength. Because this is what I personally use for myself and my family. We've gone through 5 or 6 different permutations in the last 4 years since we launched Infowars Live to actually come up with this. This is the formula that I personally have been taking for over a year, and now we believe we have come as close to perfection when it comes to a detoxifier as you can possibly get. If you're not mitigating the pesticides, the heavy metals, the chemicals, if you're not trying to purify your water, if you're not trying to take products like Z-Shield that are full of known concentrated compounds that'll purify our cells and our bodies, you're crazy. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to the future of this country and the world that patriots stay as healthy and as clean and as focused as you can be, because we need you, the remnant of America, to reignite those brush fires to the next level and to be healthy and as focused as you can be. Because if you're sick, if you're over there on the sidelines and not in the fight, you're basically giving in to the New World Order. Thanks to your support and your prayers, together, we're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLive.com.
I want to tell you about some of the products at InfoWarsStore.com. We are under constant attack. You know it by now from the mainstream media. They're trying to attack us on every level. Now with the YouTube scandal, they're demonetizing our channels, which again takes a huge chunk out of our income, which is why we always appreciate and rely on you getting the products, because that's how we stay afloat. They can't get to us that way. They can't pressure you to not buy the products. They don't have that power. And that's why you're the key to this entire operation. We have Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Bubblegum flavor just arrived at InfoWarsStore.com. This is by listener request. Bubblegum flavored Super Blue toothpaste now available at InfoWarsStore.com in limited supply. Again, if you're not using fluoride-free toothpaste by now, you're absolutely insane. Harvard studies, it reduces IQ, it causes bone cancer. It's not great, let's just put it that way. And I've been using it for about, 15 years now? So you're going to buy it anyway, why not buy it from us? It's in limited supply, but it is available at InfoWarsStore.com with the new bubblegum flavor Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, and it supports this network, which is under constant demonization and attack, because we don't take big fat checks from George Soros. We don't get put on extremist lists, even though they want us to. That's how they're taking away the YouTube money. That's why we need your support more than ever, because we're not funded by giant corporations who are now pulling the plug on YouTube as they move it into a TV thing, a Netflix model, to drown out independent voices. So support us by getting the products at InfoWarsStore.com.
Well, remember this story from last month? Obama administration, new gang members were part of illegal immigration surge. That's right. The Obama administration knowingly let in at least 16 admitted MS-13 gang members who arrived at the U.S. as illegal immigrant teenagers in 2014. So that's nice. That's not treasonous at all. Gotta love Obama. He's got to be one of the best presidents ever. Gotta love those gang members at MS-13. But we have a different president now and a different stance. Trump team comes through in the war on MS-13. How about that? In an early success of the Trump administration campaign to devastate MS-13 and similar gangs, the feds last week arrested close to 40 accused MS-13 gangbangers in the city and Long Island. So that's nice. All these people, they love Obama so much. He's so much better than Trump. I always see him on Twitter. We miss you, Obama. We miss you so much. Please come back. The Obama that committed treason by letting gang members into this country illegally. That Obama versus President Trump, who's actually trying to kick the gang members out and have them arrested. I really just cannot wrap my mind around that liberal logic, folks. But this might explain it because I don't have a degree in social justice. You've never heard of such nonsense until you heard this story. Want credit for studying social justice? Here are more than 100 colleges with academic programs. That's right, folks. You can now get a degree in how to be a brainwashed idiot. Excuse me, a social justice warrior. Over 100 schools. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Just one of many social justice type classes that they have. How to teach you that white people are bad, this, that, and the other. We've got those classes. They've actually got a couple of the classes, queer theory, queer lives, and queer politics. Feminist perspectives on race and gender in the media. Yes, yes. These are the types of courses that we need people taking in college. No, these are the type of courses that are destroying higher education. And that's why when I saw this story last week, and I'm bringing it up again, Trump to tout training and apprenticeships. When I talk to young people who want advice that are about to get out of high school, I always tell them to, look at what's best for you. College is not always the best option. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But if you really have no idea what you're going to do in college, or if you're going to pursue a degree in social justice, you're probably better off looking for a job, looking for an internship, looking for an apprenticeship. And when all of these colleges are going full-blown liberal, with a very few exceptions in between, you're probably better off now avoiding a huge debt, avoiding a huge bill, and actually getting training and experience. That's not the case for all fields, obviously, but I like the fact that Trump is talking about apprenticeships and getting job training. He could have maybe gone a little harder on the liberal universities that are wrecking higher education, but nonetheless, I think that's an interesting trend to keep an eye on here with the full-on liberalization of universities, and we have a president now that is pushing apprenticeships and job experience. Now, Trump has a bigger issue on his hand right now, however, and that is Russia. No, not him colluding with Russia. No, not him trying to skirt any investigations that might be underway with his fake news about colluding with Russia or Russia trying to meddle the election. No, Russia to treat U.S. jets in Syria as targets after America guns down first regime warplane. Now, Donald Trump is in a trap here. They've trapped Donald Trump because they've told everybody that he's a Russian agent. They have liberals and Democrats freaking out, doing investigations that he's a Russian agent. Meanwhile, you have the globalists and the New World Order that want a regime change in Syria. Syria and Russia are allies. Trump and his constituents do not want to further any more regime changes in the Middle East, any more wars in the Middle East. But Trump is being trapped here. Trump is being trapped in two ways. One, he's being trapped because they're pushing this false Russia story against him so that he has to defend himself against that. Going against Syria would be one way to do that. Of course, the leftists don't even understand that aspect, Donald Trump. So that 6D chess is not going to work on the liberals. They're too stupid to get it. They've never read a history book. They don't understand geopolitics. But they've also trapped him in the whole Syrian conflict thing with fake news about Assad gassing his own people. And now you have a Syrian aircraft bombing ISIS militants. I guess it's Pentagon. I don't know who it is. Somebody tells our leaders, somebody tells our army, or even President Trump, that those are our backed forces that the Syrian aircraft just bombed. So, of course, Trump or the Pentagon or the army says, okay, well, then we will retaliate. We'll strike down that aircraft to let them know not to do that. But here's the catch. You could have one and the same here. That could be true on both ends. Yes, the Syrian aircraft was bombing ISIS. But yes, the Syrian aircraft was also bombing United States-backed forces in Raqqa. These could both be very true statements. But the only person that would know that would be John McCain. And you see, this is how it works, folks. This is what they want. They want the Civil War in America. with the liberals pushing against Trump, falling for fake news, inciting violence in the streets, and they're not necessarily getting it as much as they'd like to here, but in Europe, they're getting the Islamicists into Europe. They're invading these countries. And just like it's been European governments and the United States governments that have backed terrorists in the Middle East, that have backed regimes that have backed terrorists in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, that have even started proxy armies and proxy wars in the Middle East. So you start all these wars in the Middle East, you devastate the Middle East, you cause all these refugees to go into Europe, you have a clash of civilizations, not to mention a hatred that is shown that these people had their countries destroyed by corrupt wars. And then you have these people that are having their countries destroyed by refugees being brought in by corrupt wars that hate them for the corrupt wars that their government never told them about. So this is the New World Order. This is the churning that they want. This is World War III with Russia and Syria. This is civil war in Europe and civil war in America. This is what we've been trying to tell you about, folks. And it's all coming to a head now. And it's because Donald Trump is the greatest obstacle in the globalist New World Order plan for a one-world government right now. And it's just unbelievable to think that this is all happening in such a condensed time capsule now. Now, let's go to Newt Gingrich to close this segment. Newt Gingrich talking about the Russia investigation and how it's getting too big to fail.
It may be that the Deputy Attorney General now has a new assignment, which is to create a special counsel to look into leaks from the special counsel. You know, it's illegal to be leaking.
Yeah, 1984,
well,
folks.
Saying, if you look, I don't understand what Rosenstein's memo was supposed to tell us. Is he saying that the Washington Post lied, that that's not true, and if so, how does he know it? Does he say, well, they might be true, but don't pay attention to them? I didn't find his memo particularly enlightening. The Washington Post, once again, has an unnamed source who makes a series of allegations which may be true. It doesn't help us any to have page one make an allegation, and then the bureaucrats at Justice piously explain that they can't tell you whether or not what was probably a leak from one of them is true. And I think if he's serious about stopping leaks, maybe not this first round, but by the time we have 3 or 4 leaks, which we will get from the special counsel's office, I think he's going to be forced to create a new he's going to be forced to create a new special counsel to look into the special counsel's office.
So there you go, folks. We need a special counsel to look into the special counsel because the special counsel is leaking. I swear, you've never heard of such madness before in Washington, D.C., folks, but it's all happening right now, and boy, oh boy, I just pray every day that we can figure out what's going on. But the deep state is very real. Americans are waking up to the deep state. The question is, will America defeat the deep state that is trying to destroy it? We'll be right back with more. Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. Infowars Live Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by Infowars Live is an easy way to naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into one explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make. We fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Well, it was Barack Obama, folks, that let Otto Warmbier die in North Korea. Let's be very clear as we're reporting the tragic and sad story of Otto Warmbier, that happened under Barack Obama, and that it was President Trump that at least got him here to have a legitimate burial and funeral. So thank you, President Trump, for caring about citizens that are being oppressed in North Korea, where Barack Obama completely ignored it. Now, the Huffington Post, well, look at the headline on the Huffington Post. North Korea proves your white male privilege is not universal. So then here's an idea, Huffington Post and liberals. Quit saying it exists. It's not inherent. It's not universal. That's your argument. Put that headline back on stage. This headline should be directed at the Huffington Post and their audience. They are the ones that say it's universal. So I just got a total kick out of that. Now, let's move on. 66% of GOP voters say Comey should be prosecuted for leaking to media. You have a mandate, President Trump. You have the House. You have the Senate. You have the numbers. Let's get some action. We've got literally investigations ongoing for months over fake news. You've got obstruction of justice being looked into over fake news. Why can't we get something into what we know is real news, Comey leaking to the media? Or have an investigation or hearing into the timeline of Comey's events and his testimonies? Not going to get that. But it doesn't stop there. Even CNN has a poll Should Trump be investigated for obstruction of justice? Over 2.5 million votes, folks, and this is on CNN. 70% of the people say no on CNN. Look at that, folks. Nobody is buying it, okay? Let it be very clear. Even if the fake news dominates the optics, even if you tune in to CNN or MSNBC or any of these fake news television stations or any of these fake news publications, New York Times, Washington Post, do not let the optics that they're trying to force out there get you down. Do not let their constant berating of Trump get you down. We are still winning. We're not even the silent minority anymore. It's the silent majority, folks. We are winning. You can see it in the polls, and you can even see it in the media. Look at this. I don't want to talk about Megyn Kelly anymore, okay? And I'm not here to talk about Megyn Kelly. I'm here to tell you that we are the ones making the difference. We control the narratives now. It doesn't matter if CNN, MSNBC, Huffington Post, New York Times, Washington Post, any other liberal rag runs the same headline, the same story, pushes the same false news that people see and eat up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't carry water. It doesn't carry weight. It's not a heavy hitter. It's a nothing burger. And again, just to illustrate this, look at NBC News' YouTube page, folks. NBC News can't get a view if they paid for it. Literally. Look at this. Nothing. No views. Nobody's watching this crap. Nobody cares. Sure, it's easy to flip on your television and have NBC on. That doesn't take any effort. That's mindlessness. Nobody actually cares about that. That's just a numbing sensation to have that television on or to have that noise in the background. It's just a numbing sensation. But look at what is dominant. Look at what has more views than anything else, and it's not even close. Alex Jones on Megyn Kelly. So then you go on and look at this. Now, when we went on air, this was the number 14 trending video on YouTube. Look at the likes and dislikes. You see that, Megyn Kelly? Nobody likes you. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm just reporting on the facts. So you get no likes on your videos. We get all the likes in the world, and we have 10 times the views, if not more than you, people seeking us out. But here's the question I have for YouTube. How is it that Megyn Kelly gets to number 14 trending on YouTube with 55,000 views, over 3,300 dislikes and 800 likes, but our video of the coverage that has over 100,000 views and over 10,000 likes doesn't get to number 14 trending on YouTube? Just a little confused at that. Now, here's the trending news that's going to be big tomorrow. The special election in Georgia. Going to shed a little light on this on the eve of this election. Can any amount of money win Jon Ossoff's Georgia 6th district? This is a story from April, folks. Democrats have pumped more than $8 million into the special election to win the deep red gerrymandered district. Gerrymandering is actually a Democrat technique. But we won't get into that. The point is, the Democrats are so desperate for this victory, they are literally funneling in cash at a record rate. Georgia's special election smashes all-time spending record. It's official. It will be the most expensive House race in U.S. history. Why? It's not because Georgia's 6th district has some huge problem that needs addressed. No, it's not because Georgia's 6th district is the biggest district. It has nothing to do with anything relevant, in fact. This is how desperate the Democrats are for victory. The Democrats are 0 for 2017, okay? The only victories that they get are when they stop President Trump from his Make America Great Again initiative. This is not a victory for the Democrats. This is just holdovers. This is just obstruction. Ultimately, you will lose those battles too. But that's what this is all about. The Democrats that are so desperate for victory because they're 0 for 2017, and just like everything else, they think you can just throw money at the problem and that'll solve it. Jon Ossoff has 9 times as many donors in California than he does in Georgia. No, this isn't a California special election. This is Georgia's 6th district special election. Why does Jon Ossoff have 9 times as many donors in California than in his home state of Georgia. Ask yourself that, folks. Ask yourself that. Ask yourself this. Why won't Jon Ossoff move to the district that he's running to represent? A classic Democrat living outside of the district that they want to represent. That's actually a California Democrat standard. So there you go, folks. There's the real Jon Ossoff. Nothing more than a desperate attempt for the Democrats to get victory because they can't win anything, and they see that their party is dying. And see, they can't just have their party die because this is a party full of crime and corruption that runs very deep, and that cannot just die. That has to go on, folks. But just to show you exactly what the left is thinking here, this is a Scott Dorkin, who is a big DNC guy, big anti-Trump guy. Fact, Jon Ossoff would be another vote for Congress for impeaching Trump. Again, has nothing to do with Georgia, has nothing to do with any policy, has nothing to do with anything except the Democrats wanting to impeach Trump, and the Democrats need a victory in order to make that possible, but it's not going to happen. Scott Dorkin, the choice is simple. Jon Ossoff believes in gay rights. Karen Handel doesn't. Oh, it's simple then. It's simple for Scott Dorkin. Every answer just comes down to that. I mean, everything just comes down to identity politics with these people. I've been trying to tell you that, but there you go. Now, Apple is thinking about bringing Foxconn manufacturing plants to the United States. I think that would be great. You know why? Because these Foxconn factories that are overseas, particularly in Asia, are hellholes. Okay? These people are forced to work in terrible conditions. Some of them even end up killing themselves. So there's a story about life and death in Apple, Foxconn, Forbidden Cities. Hey, good news. Donald Trump, another record high for the stocks today. Another record high. Dow and S&P close at records as tech stocks surge. GOP considers canceling August recess to salvage agenda. I actually like that. Yeah, you shouldn't have recess. You haven't cut our taxes off. You want recess? Cut our taxes. Then you can have a recess, government.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions. 888-253-3139.
This is Millie Weaver.
Trash.
All right. More people being triggered. This is Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. Well, we have seen the mainstream media, as well as celebrities and Democratic politicians, fueling violence against people on the conservative right side that they do not agree with ideologically. So we've had people like Alex Jones, Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, as well as even myself, come out and disavow any type of violence against somebody that you don't agree with politically. We've seen plays in New York where they're depicting President Trump being mock assassinated, and we've seen even Snoop Dogg's music videos where he's mock shot and assassinated President Trump in the head. It's getting pretty out of control. So let's go ahead and ask some of these liberals whether or not they will disavow violence against conservatives whom they disagree with. What do you think about so many politicians and public figures advocating for violence against President Trump and his supporters?
I don't think that's okay at all. I think that, like, the main thing is we don't want to do the violence. If you can tell, like, we have so many issues in London and everywhere else. There are better ways of handling what's going on without resorting to violence. Like, that's why we have the law. That's why we have the Constitution, is to avoid those kinds of things. So I don't think it's okay at all. Like, I don't agree with what Trump's doing. I don't agree with the whole FBI and Russia and firing and, like, he says, she says stuff, because it sounds very childish to me. But I also don't agree with, like, attacking people in office as a means of first resort at all.
I think it's terrible. Whether you like the president or not, he's still our president.
Highly hypocritical, you know?
It's important to stand for what you believe and protest if you feel that that's right, but I don't think violence is going to solve anything.
I think everyone should be able to speak their mind, but at the same time, it just adds fuel to the fire. For sure, I think it's really disrespectful to speak that way about our president, but then again, he's our president, so.
It leaves a bad impression on the people that are watching, you know, especially like younger kids and things like that. So we gotta stand strong as Americans and not do any of that stuff, I feel.
It's definitely hypocritical. Yeah, it's really hypocritical that they do that. I could see that.
What about you guys? What do you think?
I just completely agree with what he's been saying. It's a big problem that needs to be addressed on a larger scale.
I don't think anyone should be violent against the president, but I also don't support the president.
I don't think that violence against anybody, no matter what political party or whatever you identify as, is appropriate.
No one ever likes the guy in office, so it doesn't, you know, that's the way I see it.
I mean, I disavow, like, every violence, really. I'm not for violence.
Of our storefront, because it's just helping customers. I'm sorry.
I disavow all violence towards any public official, regardless of political party. But I feel like freedom of expression, if you're talking about the Shakespeare, the Donald Trump Shakespeare thing, I feel like it's a little hypocritical when some of the conservatives are kind of getting triggered. They might need some safe spaces when dealing with, it's a play. It's a play. If it is strictly advocating and, like, it's, you know, detailing, then, you know, that might go from not just being hate speech, but towards actual, you know, treason, right? So you got to be careful. There's a fine line.
So you don't think that if there were a play with Barack Obama as, you know, the Julius Caesar, and conservatives were all sitting around cheering as he was assassinated and killed, you don't think that people on the left wouldn't be a little bit like, hey, you know, maybe we shouldn't be advocating the assassination of our current president?
If it was incredibly you know, this play, I don't think it's, you know, it's not super, like, I haven't seen the play, obviously.
He's dressed like him, he looks like him, his wife looks like and talks like Melania. They even say in the description that it's a modern take on our current political situation.
There's a fine line. I'm not sure if I agree with that. You know, there's a fine line, and I think this just really highlights this whole thing is you have the extremes on the left and the extremes on the right. You know, I don't advocate for a lot of the leftist violence that's been going on. You know, I definitely, as I might identify more liberal, I don't agree with the leftist violence that's going on, but I also don't agree with the hyperbole coming from the right to attack that, I think. That's my take on that.
You know, I've heard opinions from both sides of the aisle. I grew up doing drama and Shakespeare and such, and certainly there was artistic freedom and artistic choices that were made. But I think when it comes to that, maybe knowing the current political climate and how sensitive some of those topics are, maybe that wasn't the correct choice for this point in time.
I think it's an expression of free speech, but that free speech doesn't always mean appropriate speech. So I think it's something. First, context needs to be provided, but also I think if you're going to try to provide an effective message, you kind of need to not preach to the choir, as it were. I think you need to provide a more intellectual argument rather than just making something like a shock statement. That because those are examples of things that are designed to attract media attention, but they don't really say anything substantial.
The thing where they did the Caesar in the park, I don't think that was as bad as Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin was terrible, but that was a play. And yes, they did depict Trump. They also depicted Obama when he was in office. And in the play about Caesar, they're not advocating for his assassination, and it caused the fall of Rome when he was assassinated. So if you took what the play says, if Trump was assassinated, it'd be terrible for America.
There's always been problems like this, but I feel like with Donald Trump, they don't take him seriously, so they don't have that level of respect. You know, you can look at a leader like Kim Jong-un, you know, while people hate him, there still needs to be a level of respect, or with any world leader, there needs to be some respect there. Like, you can't just advocate violence. There needs to be a diplomatic solution, not violence.
Did you hear about the recent attempted shooting on the GOP members at a baseball practice?
I did, actually, and it's honestly kind of funny when you think about it, because like with the whole thing about firearms, it was a liberal that was shooting the conservative. So that's just kind of ironic to me, but that's also just completely unacceptable. I don't think violence is the way to solve our issues. Like, that's what underdeveloping countries do, and it's not something that we should be doing. It's like, that's why we have the law, that's why we have the court, and like a more refined infrastructure, is because we shouldn't be doing that at all.
How un-American must you be to shoot at a baseball game? You know, seriously. I mean, I tell you what, if the left wants to start this revolution, they need to get to a gun range. Because obviously this man didn't know what he was doing with that rifle.
It's terrible. It's a terrible thing that happened.
So I'm from Chicago, and there were a bunch of marches, like peaceful like marches on like Trump's property there. There's like the big tower and like people doing that, and I think that's great and it sends a good message, but not the violent part.
I think that's happened to multiple people, and now just because it's a bigger idea, because now it's politicians that are now being shot at. There's people every single day being shot at, and now it's a big deal.
It's unfortunate it happened, but you got crazy people out there. So crazy people's gonna do crazy stuff, whether it's against a politician or a homeless guy on the side of the street. It's just people are shitty. So I don't see it as politically motivated, but I mean, obviously that guy had an agenda.
Do you think that people on the left and Democratic public figures should come out and disavow this type of violence?
I think everybody should disavow that kind of violence.
Violence is not the answer regardless.
So overall, do you disavow violence against people based on their political or ideological views?
Yes, I disavow it. I disavow violence, yeah.
What about you?
Of course.
And you?
Yes. I feel like, yeah, because in this country, we're going to have both. So there has to be some sort of something to have peace. I don't think they necessarily have to agree on everything, but some sort of something to make them come together and work together, because a country divided isn't a great thing.
You're listening to Infowars.com. Truth news.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Support this broadcast at InfoWarsStore.com. You stay classy, InfoWarriors.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality Infowars Biome Defense probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high-quality, known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.